Butler County, Clarion County, Indiana County. I represent 24% of the land mass of the state of Pennsylvania. And I am, and because of your support, I want to thank you for your help in being reelected this last November. I want to thank you for your support for this coming November 3rd. I will be on the ballot. My buddy Mike Kelly will be on the ballot as well for his congressional district. And we love working with President Trump. That's the other thing. We're so appreciative to you that you have given me the privilege, the honor of my lifetime, and that is to be able to work with a leader who just truly loves this country. He loves people, and he loves getting things done. And that's the best way I can describe Donald J. Trump. He is, I was with him on Friday at Shanksville. Very, always that's an emotional roller coaster there, because you come in and you spend time with the families. You know, even though it's been 19 years ago, the families of those first patriots that fought back in the War on Terror, and they took over that plane over the fields of Shanksville. And so the grief that family is still, that family that we all feel for the sacrifices that they said that they did. And you know, they did it in the most American way. They actually took a vote. They took a vote on that plane. And they knew what they were sacrificing. You know, they knew what was going to happen within moments of that vote that they took. So it was an emotional roller coaster, quite frankly, for me personally, and I think for all of us, because it's also Patriots Day. It's a time that just being so thankful for Americans who will step forward in a time of need, you know, will lay their lives down to defend this nation. And so it's a real privilege. I'll be having dinner with the president this coming week.
Tell him I love him.
I will do that. I'll give him a kiss for you, I'm telling you. That just isn't going to happen. Yeah, and you know, it's just really a privilege to work with. And I can talk a lot about the president, but I think I'd sooner have him tell you exactly how he feels about Pennsylvania. So if I can dial this up, and not the one I wanted to see. You remember the days of long distance calls? Let's see. I didn't need these when I first started to go to work for you. There we go.
President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
Hello, Pennsylvania. I'm thrilled to be with you today and talk to you today about the critical decision Americans will be making on November 3rd. That's a big date. November 3rd. There's never been two people and two parties that have been more different than what you have coming up. This election's about the very survival of our nation as far as I'm concerned. America's future will either be defined by patriots who love our country and want to build it and make it bigger and better and go back to what we had just a few months ago, where we built the strongest economy ever in the history of our country and the history of the world, or it will be defined by radical left Democrats who truly, you have to say, hate our country and want to tear it down, and that's what they try and do in places like Seattle and Portland. Joe Biden and the radical Democrats are against fracking, they're against guns, and they're against the Bible, essentially. They're against God, if you look at what they're doing with religion. Guns, they want to take away your Second Amendment. They obliterate the Pennsylvania energy industry, destroy Pennsylvania's economy, endanger Pennsylvania's families, and demolish the American way of life as we all know it and love it. It's the best in the world. The anarchists and agitators that have brought mayhem to the streets of places like Portland and Seattle are now driving the agenda of the Democrat Party. They want to spread chaos to every city. They want everything to be like a Portland or even a Seattle. They'd like every town and city in America to be like that. But we've stopped them cold, and we always will. It's very easy to do. We have the greatest people in the world. We're protecting our citizens. We're defending our federal buildings. and we're bringing rioters and thugs to justice. I want to thank some of your great Republicans who are fighting right by your side. Congressman G.T. Thompson, friend of mine, a great guy, and our great candidate for Congress, Sean Parnell, who's truly a hero. He's a military hero. He's running against the person that actually lied to you. Connor Lamb, he's a disaster. Turned out to be a puppet of Nancy Pelosi and Schumer. Sean Parnell really can do that. He'll be so great. He's going to be one of our greats. And Congressman G.T. Thompson, they're incredible people. They're warriors. I'll tell you what, they're warriors. But I just want to thank the people of Pennsylvania. As you know, you supported me in the primaries, and then you supported me in the general election. I love Pennsylvania. I went to school in Pennsylvania. And, you know, Joe Biden likes to say he's from Pennsylvania, but he's not. His family abandoned Pennsylvania. I guess he was about 10 years old, maybe. And they moved to Delaware. He's not from Pennsylvania. You know, when he comes around, he only goes to Delaware to make speeches. He goes back to the basement. And I'll never let Pennsylvania down. I've done things that nobody thought were possible with your plants, your factories, your steel. And by the way, we'll catch up to where we left off very soon, because I believe next year will be a better year than last year, because things are looking that way. Once we get our country open, there's tremendous enthusiasm, and you see that in the job numbers, the retail sale numbers, and every other number. I've never let you down. We've done much more than I said I was going to do, and now we're going to do it again. We said, make America great, and we're making it again, and now we're doing it a second time. We're putting America first. We're putting America above all these nations that have ripped us off for years. But all of that's changed, and you see it's changed at a level that nobody has ever thought possible, including the biggest job numbers we've ever had in our country. So Pennsylvania, November 3rd, and it's an honor to speak to you. And have a good rest of the day. I will see you soon. I'll be there soon. And we'll be talking again before the big event, November 3rd. Thank you all very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States. And what a leader.
What a guy.
What a leader. I've just been privileged to be able to work with him. So once again, thank you for what that honor and privilege that you have provided. Just asking for the opportunity for him to work for us and for allow me to work with him for an additional 4 years. The things that we will accomplish for this nation, especially when we fire Nancy Pelosi. You know, I don't know if you realize this. When I was first elected in 2008, served in 2009, I served in a Pelosi-run House for 2 years. And it was awful. The damage that was done to our country during those 2 years with her, I guess you have to call it leadership, her decisions. Let me put it that way, because it didn't reflect leadership in any way. What it did to our dairy industry, what it did to our health care, I mean, it's just a long list. And I had the privilege with the 2010 election when I was reelected, and we were voting for Speaker of the House. And it's the only roll call vote, thankfully, that we do in the House of Representatives, and we do it on the very first day that we're sworn in. So this was my second term, and when I took to when I stood up and announced who I was voting for, and I voted for our Republican leader at the time, John Boehner, to be Speaker of the House. My vote was a 218th vote, so I technically fired Nancy Pelosi. And I'm sure looking to do that again this year. It's so bad, so many ways. You know, I want to encourage you not to become discouraged in these 50 days. Because, you know, the mean streak media, the pollsters are out there. They desperately want to defeat President Trump and Vice President Pence. And they're willing to make things up. They're willing to lie. They're willing to twist facts around it and not that you would never recognize them. This polling that you have out there, when you think about it, and let me put it in this perspective. In 2016, many people, maybe some of us, certainly friends, neighbors, relatives we know, when polled, we're afraid to admit that we're going to vote for Donald Trump because we're afraid that somebody would call us a name or yell at us. In 2020, we're afraid they're going to burn your house down. Now, with these, they're not protesters, these thugs, these criminals, these rioters that are out there. And so I don't believe these these polls for a moment. The polls that we have show it very, very close, but I gotta tell you, they don't see, these pollsters, this Main Street media, they don't see what we see. We don't see the Freedom Flotilla on the Allegheny River, in the Kenzu Dam, on the Susquehanna River. They don't see